Okay. So we'll start off with one of the less hard-hitting ones. So you love Star Wars more than most. In fact, you named your first YouTube channel Timican, as in like Anakin, so which implies a strong degree of identification. So what is it about Star Wars that hits so hard for you?
Okay, so a bit more backstory as well, because it wasn't just the first YouTube channel. It was a nickname that I picked up in grade 4, I think, because we had a bunch of us that just really loved Star Wars back when, that was when Revenge of the Sith came out, which apparently was 20 years ago now. Insane. And I've always just really loved and related to the character of Anakin. You know, the angsty teenager, I suppose. Angsty teenager that grows into somebody who makes big mistakes and then spends their life suffering through and recovering, which is a bit weird to relate to. But, you know, I feel that in some ways, you know.
How?
Do you know, I don't know. I keep looking back at major points in life, and it's just always been a thing that I've been like, you know, I regret that, and I'm going to sit in it forever, kind of, to some degree. Because there's also areas in which I don't. And there's often areas in which I will, and then I'll do the complete opposite and not sit in it and just go, right, what do we learn, and let's move on. So I don't know. It probably as a kid or into early adult, it was a lot more so that way. I think now I love the character of Anakin, you know, the Anakin Vader holistic character. I like that they brought him back at the end of Ahsoka. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you know, Hayden, but I think that was great. I think that was a really beautiful apparently not last scene anymore, but what was a last scene. You know, so yeah, I always enjoyed that. I'm not as much of a fan of the new Star Warsy stuff. I just can't. I feel like there's too much. It's flooded.
I get burned out.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same way with Marvel as well for
everything. Me. Doctor Who, Marvel, Star Wars, everything I used to love is just too much now.
Need to let things die.
Yeah, honestly. I think that's the beauty of things, is they can end, you know? And they should.
Gives a scale.
Yeah, that's it. You get a beginning, you get an end, you get everything in between. That's the beauty of it. Not, let's make a multiple. Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine.
Okay. So you can say that you've certainly grown in your attitude towards failure.
Sometimes. I'm not gonna. I've perfected failure now. Nobody does failure like me.
I'm great at failing.
It's fantastic. It's fail-tastic. It's good fun. Yeah, no, I think I look back and certainly as a younger kid and younger adult, a lot more so I sort of related to that character and loved it and still love it. But now there's a lot of changes happened since then, obviously. So, yeah, still a great series. Most of it. Cool.
Okay, do you want to go for a question yourself?
We've not spoken. Like, I remember back 6 years ago, roughly, probably before I moved to Melbourne, which was 20-something.
I forgot that even happened.
6, 7, 8 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
We would be a lot more sort of catching up all the time, spontaneous, hey, let's jump in the car and do whatever. Life has gotten in the way, so we haven't caught up a lot lately. What's like the biggest change that's happened in your life in the last 5 years that you are... A big change, or some big changes?
Right. Well, 5 years ago, it was 2020.
Yeah. Maybe let's extend it to 6. That period.
Yeah, about that period, I was I made the decision to go back and finish my Bachelor of Arts doing film and English.
Mm-hmm.
And English became more of a priority for me during that time, more than I thought it would. After the Bachelor of Arts, I thought it would lead into teaching for me, but passion just got ignited in me to do something weird. So I think that just the trajectory of my professional life has definitely changed over the past couple of years. I mentioned I was going to be a teacher, and that might still happen again in the future, but at the moment it's definitely more of a prioritizing my creative life, and if work is just the thing that sustains me through that, then that
keeps you able to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a good I like that priority organization.
Weirdly enough, I'm closer to 2015 Katelyn now than I have been in a long time, because in 2015 I was working in retail
Mm.
and I was just making videos
Yeah.
and prioritizing my creative
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
I have a much better job now, thank God.
That's good.
Actually able to have a life.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's funny how it just kind of circles back around to what I already thought I knew, but apparently I just needed to learn that lesson again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like that's something I can relate to as well. Like I've done a lot of things that I enjoyed, and then I've moved into things that I didn't so much enjoy, but I'm like, this is what I have to do, and this is what I've got to build, and all that. And now I'm coming to the end of a chapter soon, probably, where I'm like, you know what? Why can't I enjoy those things again? I haven't had the time for the last probably 5 years because I prioritized the wrong things. So similar sort of thing, I suppose, where you knew what you wanted, you did the things you had to, and then you're like, I'm gonna do what I want again, you know?
But like you have to go through those journeys.
You gotta learn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be just such a cool idea. You remember in The Matrix how like Neo got like the plug in the back of the head and they could just like download information.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is just, I know Kung
Wouldn't
Fu.
that be great?
Wouldn't that be? No, but like I actually learned through like my
Mm.
period of when I was learning like martial arts and
Yeah.
stuff. It's not actually the head knowledge.
Mm.
It's the embodiment
Mm.
of it that really gains you that wisdom and the ability to react correctly in different situations. You
Yeah.
got to really embody it and live it. You can't just do it
Yeah.
in your head, which is something that I struggle
Yeah.
with.
It's a character you build along the way, right? I
Mm,
suppose. They're not
yeah.
not
Yeah.
just the doing or the building of the thing, but like who you become as you do it. And
Yeah.
what you experience.
Like you can know how to punch
Yeah.
just fine. You can know the theory
Mm.
perfectly, but if you don't do those punches 1,000 times, then your body doesn't actually know how to punch.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
it. And you'd hesitate if you ever had the moment where you had to punch because you're like,
Yeah.
I know how to do it. I just haven't done it before.
And you have to put yourself through the stress of like training under those emotional conditions,
Yeah,
so that when those emotional conditions pop up again, your body actually just snaps to the form that it needs to be in.
Yeah,
And that's the kind of thing that you can only live through.
yeah, that's fair. I like that.
So you have had a son
Mm.
since I
What?
actually haven't met Charlie yet. Like I've not seen him face to face. I'll be meeting him for the first time
You'll
today.
be meeting him soon, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we left him at home. I'm kidding.
So fatherhood, I imagine, is a wild trip.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any traits of yours that you hope Charlie emerges in Charlie over the years? And are there any traits of yours that you really hope don't emerge over the years?
Yes. And I think the answer to both will have the same answers in a weird way. Like there's you know, you've known me for a long time. If I get headstrong and knuckle down on something, I make it happen, which is a massive strength, but also a massive weakness. You know?
True.
There's, you know, I get fiery and emotional and passionate about things, which is a strength and a weakness. So I think the things that I would hope for Charlie, there's a lot of me that I think is good, you know? I think there's a lot of good. There's definitely a lot of bad too. Like I get as part of, like particularly, okay, you look at the passion side of it. Sometimes I get over passionate about things that do not matter. And it slows me down and it gets me focusing on the wrong things. So I think the things that I would want for Charlie that I don't have a lot of, or I'm not as good at, is things like focus. When I focus, it's great, but I'm very bad at aligning that focus. That's probably the thing that I have to focus on the most, is where I'm going to direct my energy rather than being reactive, especially now that I've got, you know, the life that I've built where there's so many different things that need my attention and they're all calling on me at once, and whoever's called the latest, I'll probably do that bit or start it and then go over to this bit. So getting him to sort of have a lot more direction and focus and choice of where he puts his energy in everything he does, whether it's fun, work, relationships, whatever, would be one key thing. I like that Yoda quote. There's one greatest thing of the whole sequels was when Yoda's like, you know, we are what they grow beyond. And I so believe that. Like every time I thought about Charlie before he was born, I kept thinking of that quote, because it's like, I don't want him to be me. I don't want him to mirror me. I want him to be better in every way. So that's what I want, is like, kind of, you know, there's some good things from me. There's some good things from everywhere else too, but better, if that makes sense. Yeah. That sums it up, I hope.
What is it? You succeed as a parent when your children surpass you.
Yeah. Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Yeah.
If I look out one day and he's like doing, not what I did, but like doing his thing and better than I could have done it, I won. I can sit back and relax and I can finally rest.
Are there any little traits that he has already that you look at him and you say, oh God, it's me?
Yeah. When he gets angry, he gets angry.
No.
He's so funny. He'll just be sitting there like he's hungry and then he'll just go, and he'll start doing like shaking hands. He's not even 6 months old, you know? So he gets very passionate, which is funny. It's funny, but I'm like, bro, all right, we gotta, direct that anger. Use your hatred. Little bits and pieces like that.
God.
Yeah, and he likes to laugh, which I think comes from me, or used to come from an old me. You
did like to laugh. It was one of my favorite things about being your friend is that there was always laughter involved whenever we hung out.
I used to have fun back in the day, before I got old.
You're not so old. Oh. Hey, I'm young, you're young, end of discussion.
Mate, I played this game at work. I was chatting to a bunch of the group. They're like, oh, someone's like, oh, I'm part Chinese. We don't age and all this. I was like, how old do you think I am? He's like, oh, probably early 30s, maybe. I was like, yep, cool, yep. 28, 29.
Well, listen, not to brag, but my co-workers are always surprised when I say I'm 30.
I look like I could be your dad. It's not good. I have aged like a cup of milk on a summer's day.
But look at the difference of circumstance, right? You're a family man now.
Yes.
And I just left university.
I grew into my bald patch.
I was a career student for 10 years, hanging out with Gen Z and being like, what up, fellow kids?
Yeah. Just pizza in red plastic cups. Perfect. So good.
So very different lives.
So in the last 5 years, a lot has changed. If you could pick one thing recently, and you don't have to go into detail, because I have a suspicion I know what it will be, and not asking you to leak any details of it yet, but what is the thing that you've done recently that you're most proud of? Or excited for, I'll say.
Yeah.
Positive feeling toward.
Choosing to back myself against what some might consider to be the common sense, again, trajectory of life. Like, after I finish the degree, I'm supposed to go into the field that my degree was for. And some might say, oh wow, 2 years of education masters, that it was kind of a waste, wasn't it? Well, the thing is, no, it wasn't, because I don't think if I had not done that masters, I wouldn't have gotten the inspiration and the ideas that I did along the way.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned on my own channel several times, I'm writing a book. I'm super proud of myself for having the resolve and the belief in myself to say, actually, I am going to see this project through to the end and just see if I can make something out of it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give it a chance to breathe and come to fruition. And if I had to make certain sacrifices to make that happen, then that's just what I had to do. And if it doesn't work, then at least I can say that, hey, I have written a book.
You actually did it.
Yeah, I did it. Whether it gets published or not is a different matter.
But the amount of people that talk about, I'm going to write a book, me included, that have never written a word. You know what I mean?
Okay, the difference that I feel when I actually manage to make progress on writing, like earlier in the week even, I was messaging you and I was just like, oh, everything is so terrible. And then I have a day off and I get back to writing and I'm just back to everything's great.
Back in that flow.
Exactly. I even just got back to work and I'm like, oh, there's a bounce in my step again. I can really feel the difference when I'm going down the path and that I have decided to go down and making progress. So
like chicken soup for the soul.
More or less. Just proud of myself for having the resolve to actually because I used to be a massive people pleaser. I would cater for the opinions and the feelings of the people around me, but I think, quite honestly, I actually owe the relationship that I'm in at the moment with my partner Hamish. He's taught me a lot about how to have an opinion and defend it.
Yeah.
and actually like stand up for myself.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because
Be sure in yourself.
it's a trait
Yeah.
that I admire in him, and then he just gives me a lot of practice at just discussing things until I really know my way around the topic, and know how I feel and what I mean. Because for a long time, I didn't have an opinion about a lot of things.
Yeah, that's it.
So I'm really happy with myself for that.
Nice. That's a really good point of growth. I like it. And it's something to be proud of, I think.
So, as someone who is currently in a long-term relationship, being me, and someone who is married, being you, what value has actually being married added to your life as opposed to just being in the relationship phase? Like, how does it make it different?
Yeah. Don't do it. It's too late. I'm just kidding. No, look, it's. I think that the answer for me has changed a lot as well over the years because my personal faith has changed and grown as well, and now it means something completely different to what it was, even sort of as we got married, if that makes sense. I think initially it was kind of like how it becomes a bit of a. So when Hannah and I started dating, I was atheist. I think she was in the same or similar boat. I'm not going to speak for her. But so my belief of relationships came from what I picked up and what I thought about society and all these different bits and pieces. But and I think at that point, the whole getting married thing was like, because I dated a lot. You knew me. I dated a lot back in the day. And I just never, not dissing anyone from the past or whatever, but it never felt like it could go the distance. And a couple of times it did, and then it didn't. With Hannah, I took a break from dating for 5 years, I think. And, was really sort of specific about, the kind of person that I was looking for, the kind of things and values I was looking for in a person. And found Hannah, and we sort of, aligned very, very well on that front. And so after we'd been dating for a bit, I was like, well, why would I want to... I hope this one doesn't end.
No.
I don't foresee it ending, We did split up at the beginning, actually, about the relationship, but that's a whole different story. But, I just sort of thought, well, this is it. This is great. Let's lock it in, Eddie, for life. So that was initially what that was. Now, coming from a very, very different perspective, back then was sort of atheist, vegan, liberal, that sort of thing. Which is fine. That's some people. I'm now the opposite, right wing, conservative, Christian, traditionalist. So flipped. the value that like marriage means to me now is very, very different. Like you're gonna have hard times. Even if like Hannah and I align pretty well, we still butt heads and call each other some 4-letter words and all sorts of things, But we both have this mutual understanding now with our marriage that, we're not, for us, ending the marriage is not an option. And I know, that's a common thing a lot of people say, but it's a security that we can both be fully open and vulnerable with each other and be truthful. And there's like an agreed upon spiritual barrier, I suppose, as to this is where the line is. I think prior to that, it was probably more like a legal barrier, You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
So I think that it's that level of security and commitment for us now where it's like we both, going into it, weddings aren't cheap, man. Weddings are not cheap. There's a lot of people. I used to be a what's the word for opposite of introvert? I've forgotten it. Extrovert. I've forgotten it, man. But that's not the case now. I'm much more sort of introverted and all that. I was like, we could, if we want to, we could elope and all this and have a quiet thing. Didn't happen. It became, which it was still a small wedding.
I tuned into the live stream of your wedding.
Oh, true.
From my university building.
Was the sound as terrible as I thought it might be?
It was fine.
Really? There you go. Okay, that was literally just a... Anyway, so I'm going off topic. Yeah, so I think now the way I look at it would be, from a Christian perspective, it's what we need to do. If we intend on taking our relationship past certain points. It also creates, I think for us, the one of the most important things to me, going through being the kid of a divorced marriage and all that sort of thing, and I've seen, like both Hannah and I are, I think for us now, what it means to us is like, it's a safety net of protection for our kids as well, so that they will always sort of have their family. So it's like again, if things get tough, too late, tough pickies, we make it work for the family. We find a way through it, which we've had tough times, and I think it has really sort of helped, I suppose, to value each other and to recognize what our relationship is, if that makes sense. So I feel like I'm answering this poorly, but there's a lot to it.
What I'm hearing is it's very contextual for you. Like it makes sense within the context of like your current faith, and without that faith element to it, a lot of it just doesn't
doesn't have the same.
It doesn't have the same oomph to it.
Kinda, yeah. It's like if you buy a tire.
Yeah.
You buy a tire. It's cool to have a tire, right? You can make a garden bed out of it. I recently saved some bald tires so that I can put them in a garden bed. Yeah, it's cool. But if you have a car that you're buying the tire for, it's like, context. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
That terrible metaphor that we got there.
No, that actually makes the most sense to me.
There you go.
Over a lot of discussions that I've had about this.
So. And equally so, continuing the metaphor, a tire for a Tesla versus a tire for a Range Rover are not the same thing. So like my experience of my tire... Stick with me, man. My experience of my tire might be different to yours, which will be different to someone else listening in, you know.
I think we definitely have different tires.
That's it. Yeah. And everyone does too. So I'm not going to try and tell you what to do or anyone what they should do. I just know from my perspective and from my marriage, this is what I've experienced and what I have learned, sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. In the last 5 years-ish, what's like an embarrassing moment that I don't know about yet? That is. I don't know about yet. Yeah.
Gosh.
If there are any.
Listen, all right. It's not necessarily something you don't know about, but like, I am embarrassed that I do feel behind in life in a lot of ways.
Right.
Because I took those years doing the university and doing all of the higher education stuff, and I did not pursue the things like building up financial stability, and I still don't have a car, and I'm still a bit off of earning my provisional driver's license.
Yeah.
So those aspects are still a bit embarrassing for me, and I try to tell myself, the timeline of like what stage you're supposed to be up to in this part of your life, that's all imaginary. And if I thought of myself as being 25 instead of being 30, then I would be a lot happier with where I'm at right now. But like,
I like that.
It still kind of makes me go, I still catch the bus everywhere. I still have to Uber if I need to be somewhere quickly and not public transport. Well, by the way, public transport should just be the normal thing. It really should, because it's better for the environment and it's better for people's back pockets.
There's definitely pros and cons.
It should always be an option. That's just my opinion.
Oh, an option, yeah.
As a geography student, I developed this opinion when I was in year 12 when I had to write practice essays for my, like, do you remember that big test that we all had to do?
QCS.
The thing to get our OPs.
I thought that was QCS.
Was it QCS?
I don't know.
Okay.
I failed high school, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I was writing that practice essay for a long time, where I was like, well, we could certainly be doing a lot more with our public infrastructure to save the planet and all of that. But anyway, a bit of a tangent there.
Yeah.
But I do still get embarrassed about this stage that I'm at in my life, and I'm now in a position where I am more focused on getting those things established for myself. But I'm still not where a normal 30-year-old should be in their life, and that's kind of embarrassing.
Is it an embarrassing thing, or is it just, hey, I'd like to be somewhere different? Like embarrassing, like you care what other people think, sort of thing?
I do care what other people think. I care if it means that I can't easily be there for someone in a pinch, or if I can't transport people or things easily where I need to go. It's more of a, am I able to function at an adult level sort of thing.
Yeah.
And when I have to do the old like, hey, if you happen to be driving by my place, would you
Yeah.
mind picking me up also?
Yeah.
That always makes my pride take a backseat for sure. But I mean, I know I've just been doing what I've had to be doing, and on a basic level, I know that. But I am so embarrassed to a degree.
Look, there's pros to like his context as well. Like I got a mate, I don't know if you know him. I won't mention his name on camera, but he has had a very consistent job. You know, he's very committed to his job and the people in his life and all that. But he owns nothing. Like he had a car, was in a car accident in 2015, and you know got a payout because the car was written off. And he goes, I'm going to see how long I can last with that car. And it's 2025. He lives. His parents are, I think, traveling the country or something, or have been traveling for a little while. So he's sort of staying at their place and looking after it and paying sort of board or rent. And he splits that with his brother and his wife. Like just a very, and I think it's really interesting. It's not. I don't think it's a bad lifestyle. Like to not have, because I mentioned I was complaining about the mortgage. You know, I'm grateful to have the house, but the downside is it's expensive as hell, and I'm responsible for all of it. Same thing with the car, expensive as hell. Insurance is a scam, and I'm responsible for all of it.
Someone described insurance as sad gambling.
It's a racketeering. It truly is. It's RACQ mafia. You know? Pay us, or you will get into trouble. You know. Anyway. But no, he had an opportunity to like really very, very cool opportunity, which didn't end up eventuating, but to go to Antarctica and represent his field, and it was very, very, very cool opportunity for him. But he was like, I can, without very little thought, I can just say yes to life, basically, because there's no mortgage, there's no car payments, his phone bill was prepaid. There was nothing. Like he's like, I can pick up and have a month of payments left, and that's it on like phone and basics, but that's it. So there's I wouldn't be embarrassed what people think, because if people think bad things about your lifestyle, maybe it's more of a reflection on them. Like, I know it's cliche as hell, but truly, like, it's not a bad thing. And you'll notice a lot more people doing it in this day and age. They'll have a lot more responsibilities and commitments and attachments. It's very Buddhist, Taoist, almost.
Something like that.
Kind of, yeah, like the whole no attachments thing. And there's definitely pros to being lighter in life. So I wouldn't even look at it as a bad thing. Because if you need to drive things places, there's people or services that can do that. If you need to, in a pinch, go see somebody or be with somebody, there's Uber. You know what I mean? Like you still got that function, but you're just not paying the ongoing costs for it as well, which there's a pro there,
So what you're saying is I don't need a car and a license.
Dude, this is what I'm saying. Like, it's the whole wheel thing. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
There's pros and cons to what you do. There's pros and cons to what I do. There's pros and cons to all the other different options out there. But I wouldn't be embarrassed. I don't think it's a bad thing. I truly don't. It's different, and it's not what I have chosen, but I wouldn't say it's bad.
Yeah, well, if there's one thing that my mother would agree on, it's that I am different.
It's okay. What's wrong with that?
So I've just always been different, built different.
That's good, man. Like there's different, like what you're doing, and there's different, like, can't afford drugs because you live in a sewer. You know what I mean? Like that's probably frowned upon different. But everyone is like, what I'm trying to say by that is, like, it's not a bad thing to be different. I think it's a good thing. You can't have, if everybody did the same thing, the roads would be crowded with everyone having a car. Like if everyone had a car, traffic would be worse. And I hate traffic already. So I'm with you with public transport. Everyone, get off the roads, please.
If you were a car brand, like what car would you be?
Cybertruck. I too am built different. Honestly, like we living up at the farm now, we've got, like, we've had the Tesla as our main car, which is fine, but it's now with Charlie, it's smaller, and it can't do some of the farmy stuff that we need. So I think that would be, not that we can get one here, not that I know what it's actually like to experience it, but having the low cost of running, plus the crazy performance, plus the space, that's why I say Cybertruck. It's a weird looking car, but so am I.
I think I'd be a Prius.
Yeah? They're a great car. I've owned
compact, a little hybrid.
Yeah.
A little hybrid.
The Prius is the way to go. Prius is the OG hybrid. They're
Just
good,
like a
man.
little, just get around, do what you got to do.
That's it.
Yeah.
Do you remember that they used to have a whole bunch of different Priuses, like the Prius, the Prius C, the smaller one, the V, the van, and now they're just like, we just kind of do a Prius and also not in Australia.
I've officially just lost track of the conversation because I don't know. It's kind of like when people look at dogs and you go, oh, that's a Schnauzer, or like, oh, that's a Golden Retriever. No, that one's a Labrador. I'm just like, I don't know the different breeds of cars.
I'm like that with cats. Hopeless.
I'm just like, it's a car.
Yeah.
4 wheels, broom.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. That's so good.
Yeah. So you have mentioned that you've done a big old pancake flip on the person that you used to be with regards to your faith.
Yeah.
And I do often find it amusing that somehow we had managed to have the opposite sort of journey.
Freaky Friday.
Where I used to be Christian in a way that I never imagined that I could be anything other than.
Yeah, yeah.
And heck, I remember like when I was hanging out with you in your atheist phase, I was actually like concerned and being like, I hope he finds his way.
Yeah, yeah.
And then well, the past 10 years have happened. And suddenly it's, well, like you said, Freaky Friday. So tell me about where you were then versus where you are now and the journey that you had to take between those 2 points.
Good call. Yeah, I remember the day that I sort of was like, all right, I'd heard, I was, born and raised Christian, and, went to Christian school, that sort of thing. But I remember the day I was like, I'm just going to try a year off from God because, I hear people do that and some grow stronger in their faith afterwards and some are like, they find something else for them. So I was like, I'm going to try that. 2016, I think it was. And then it continued long beyond just a year. It sort of just became, I remember sort of reassessing going, it must have been a year and it'd been like 15 months. I'm like, I hadn't actually noticed. I know my parents had concerns and friends had concerns and all this sort of thing, but I sort of just hadn't noticed. So my focus, again, it's back to focus, I suppose, for me. It became sort of more on, all right, well, I'm going to just experience life and be a good person and find my own truth and all that sort of thing. What brought me back started in 2019. I was at a conference completely not related to anything to do with Christianity at all. And there was this meditation session we were in. Really not, yeah. Anyway, and it was just like, it wasn't even meditation. It was more just like everything was quiet. It was like lack of sensory and all this. It was a whole, thing. And I heard a voice say, all right, you're coming back now. Like, or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, like a literal heard a voice.
Wow.
Like, that's weird. And then they turned the lights up and it was the guy. No, I'm kidding. But I did look around because I could hear it. And oddly to my right, that's why I do it like that. I'm like, that's so weird. I look around, didn't hear it. There was no one talking, obviously. And I sort of felt very, very strongly in that moment that was God. I was like, that's weird because God doesn't exist, right? And then kind of, started praying like, okay, I'll start, coming back, I suppose, to investigate, like very, very cautious, very standoffish. And I sort of didn't do much at all really with my faith apart from I went to like an alpha course and recommitted myself in May 2020, but didn't do much more beyond that point. Like didn't have much sort of life change until my grandmother passed away in 2021. And it kind of hearing her, like the eulogy and her life story and revisiting all those different things, I really felt like you could see in her life how much she'd sort of connected with God and really loved God. So I started sort of chasing God a bit more and a bit stronger. And that was when, when I started sort of taking the action and following from like actively and changing things, that was when it sort of, everything became a lot more real as well. And then
I'm not emotional. There's just something in my eye. And
what are you talking about? I'm trying really hard here. Yeah. So it was a long journey from the voice being like, you got to stop running away, to then going, okay, yeah, I'll recommit, and then nothing really changed. I'd pray occasionally, read the Bible occasionally, and to when Nana died, and then a lot more became real. So I started actually changing and making really hard decisions in life.
What were some of those hard decisions?
The one of the biggest decisions that I can think of is like Hannah and I stopped sleeping together. Because I was like, I truly feel that within marriage, that's what we do. Here, we should not be doing that. And this was hard because she didn't share that faith as well. So I was like, I'm fully aware that she could just be like, nah, this is weird, this is too much, I'm out, which she would have been well within her right to be. But yeah, no, like thankfully she didn't. And so there were definitely tough patches. There's lines I've drawn in my career as well. There are things that I will do and things that I won't. More recently as well, like I've started, and this is not faith so much actually. This is kind of half a health issue and half a I know I shouldn't issue. But like I used to love a drink, and I haven't actually had alcohol in like 2 months. Primarily because I've been having this health thing as well, which is a whole other discussion. But I've been really slowing back, and when I do drink, I'll try to stick to like 2, because the Bible says drinking's fine, but don't get drunk, and there's a reason for it. I'm like, even if I don't understand the reason for these things, whether I understand it or not, I know that God is far more wise than I am. I'm not even going to try and pretend that I'm close, so He must know something that I don't. So I'm like, all right, well, if in my head, if the Bible says something and I say something else, then I'm wrong. And I've got to figure out why, or just not, and just realign because I'm wrong. That's the way I look at life now. So there's been just realization after realization, exploration that sort of led me back to realizing that, the gift that God gives us is free will. And it's up to us if we choose to use that for God or sort of abuse that and go against God. So that's what I discovered. And every time I did, looking back, it led to a bad thing. Like I can pinpoint a whole bunch of decisions where I've deliberately rebelled, and it's always come back to bite me. And I found, like, shockingly, the times that I'm like, this is a really hard decision, but I need to make the right one, it never has backfired, which I thought multiple, like with Hannah before we got married and with work decisions and all that, I thought that I'd have some sort of negative backlash, and I haven't. I'm very blessed, and I know that that's not the case around the world. You see some awful images of things that happen to Christians around the world, so I'm very blessed on that front. But I do feel like it's I can look back and see the guidance of God when I've followed Him versus when I haven't. And it's very Old Testament, where it's like, if you choose not to follow God, God will send you in the desert for 40 years mucking around doing nothing. So I've definitely firsthand experienced that. And yeah, more recently, I dove a lot deeper into like the modern historic proof of the Bible, or what's the opposite of proof? Disproof. And there's so many arguments and questions that come up. Even I've really loved exploring the churches as well. Like there's the Protestant church, the Catholic church, the Orthodox church, and their disagreements. And then you talk about the church as a whole versus the secular world and what they believe and disbelieve, and yeah, a lot of real world evidence points to Jesus walked the earth, like undeniable evidence from the Bible and from elsewhere, obviously, and that He was a real person that did exist, and that He was crucified and all of that. And there's a lot that I'm learning about as well that talks about, like, from other historians that had never professed faith are saying, yeah, this guy came back to life. You know what I mean? And that's a pretty big sign that, oh, okay, hang on. So he's not just a dude that was here and died and was killed and was very, very famous because he upset a lot of people in the church, the religion back in the day. There's also now, well, not now, but there's also evidence that I'm learning about that there were people who were not Christian or never professed faith that said, yeah, no, he came back. So for me, that's like the evidential side has just solidified that a lot more, but there's also then the personal experience. That's a long-winded answer, but so you've gone through a similar reverse journey.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna copy your question. What was that like?
Yeah.
More or less.
harrowing, I want to say.
And what have you learned as well? Because that's something that I'm curious. Because I've gone down that path before of like leaving God, although I didn't have the same strength of faith you did back in the day. Never. I never did up until now. So going from that strength of faith to, what do you call it? Christo mysticism?
I describe myself as a Christocentric mystic.
That's
now.
right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what triggered that journey? What have you personally discovered that you are bringing with you? Yeah.
It's so funny that your story starts with the year 2016 because that's when it started to catalyze for me as well. And that was the year that I started realizing how political the church scene had gotten. And not even had gotten, the church has always been political, like throughout history.
Yeah.
I started seeing how the church that I was going to, and it was a small home church. I look back on it now and I think probably a cult masquerading as Christianity. But I started realizing that the church was using that platform to promote politics, not even local politics, just like American politics at the time. 2016, what a year, right?
Yeah.
And it got to a point where it started making me really uncomfortable. So I decided to go to, not even leave church, just go to a different church. Go to something a bit more regulated with a few more people around my age so that I could have some more friends. And that was good for a season. And it was a big enough church. It was like I would call it a mini mega church. A mini mega church. Hope Center.
Okay.
So kind of that mega church format, but like not on the scale that like
not
Hillsong.
Yeah,
Exactly.
cool. Okay. Franchise church.
But like still kind of feeling quite charismatic. But big enough so that if I needed the space, I had the option of like hanging out at the back, where it was quite dark, and I could just be like. Left alone with my questions.
It's not 6 people and hey, why is Katelyn on a different table sort of thing.
So I did that for a season and I started encountering other voices in the media who were going through similar questions as what I was going through at the time.
Is that like not disassociation, disassembly? What's it called?
Deconstruction.
Yeah.
Disassociation. Well, not saying that wasn't involved. So like the Liturgist podcast was a conversation between Mike McHargy and Michael Gungor, who was like the leader of I really enjoyed his music during my Christian days, and it was a conversation about the intersection between art and science and faith. And all of these wild ideas about quantum physics started popping up about how, what is true for one person doesn't necessarily have to be a universal truth for everyone. Different tires, kind of like what you said, but sciencey. And so I started from the standpoint of, nothing that is really real can actually be destroyed.
Like matter can't be created or destroyed, sort of thing.
Or even like matter, but like ideas.
Right.
Yeah. So if a truth is real, if truth is truth, then it can't actually be destroyed. Destroyed
in what sense?
Destroyed as in like if you interrogate it from one angle, it'll still be true.
It'll still hold up. Yeah,
it'll hold up.
Yeah. Indisputable truth. Yeah.
Yeah. And it actually, the irony is that I started down this journey not because I had some grudge against God or because I wanted to move away from God, but because I wanted to be closer And
You wanted to eliminate some of those doubts or something, right?
I wanted to make sure that the way that I was living was in line with God's will for me.
Right. Yeah.
And like you said, like you knew me when I was identified as being Christian. Like I was very much into the whole God can speak to you, and you can learn to listen.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was doing this whole time. I was kind of putting my spiritual sensors out and being like, okay, God, is this in line with your will? And I would get these strong gut feelings about, yes, this is, this is really in that spirit, or this doesn't feel in line with God's spirit.
Yeah.
So I started interrogating, and I came across a couple of key teachings, I think, that really influenced my personal beliefs. One of which was that if the good news, being the Bible, if the good news is really good news, then it's good news for everyone. Everyone, including people who don't believe in God. Everyone, including people who don't fall into like the categories of what is acceptable with regards to lifestyle, minorities. And the Bible has been used so much in history to isolate and to disempower minorities. And so I start interrogating those sort of, okay, like, is it really good news for everyone? And I started interrogating the idea of hell and sort of realizing that I wouldn't have said that my theology was rooted in fear back then. I really didn't think it was. But like, I started going like, okay, so like, if I didn't believe in hell, how would that change the way that I approach all of this? I could feel my blood pressure drop the moment I started thinking in terms of like, okay, if there's not a hell and it's just a matter of living in line with God versus being outside of God, which, is, the definition of hell is being outside of God's presence.
Yeah, eternal separation.
And it's like, people can live in hell. They're like every day. They like, I think God's will is for us to love God, love other people, and love ourselves. And he wants to fix all of those relationships so that they can be in communion, right? And that's communion is a whole big thing. It really started shifting my perspective on how I treated other people. The angle at which I approached them, which was just became a desire to live in ultimate connection with God, with other people, and with myself. And it's so much of it just clicked into place for me once I stopped believing in hell as an eternal destination post-life.
Right.
Or post-mortal life. I still feel so connected to God. So it's not like I'm in an atheist phase. I'm not. God is very much
agnostic. Is that the term?
Agnostic might be a better phrase for it, because like I believe that different cultures offer different perspectives on what is ultimately big picture. I even had to go through a phase of like learning to disassociate certain other connotations with the idea of God. I had to start thinking of God in more gender neutral terms for a start. I tried to start thinking of God more in terms of spirit or universe to make it more accessible to everyone and not just for a certain group of people and the group of people that I came from. And as a result, I have felt so embraced by God and by, I don't know, I just see God in everything. And it's such a wonderful, I used to think, the world is evil, not evil, but like lost, fallen, corrupt. Whatever, corrupt, something to be avoided. And I've enjoyed embracing the world, and just everything as metaphor for God's heart. I feel like, for example, if you look at nature, the nature was the Bible before the Bible was
That's
the
it,
Bible.
that's it.
God revealed
The
himself
proof of God
through
is, yeah.
nature. It's
Yeah.
an expression of himself, and I feel like the more we learn from nature, we kind of learn more about God's heart. So
There's
yeah,
nature. Nature's
yeah,
come to
there's
listen.
nature. Hi.
This is this bird that's just landed on the table.
Hi, God. No, I don't think that nature is God. I
Yeah.
think that God is in nature.
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah, it's just opened things up for me. I feel so much lighter and connected now than I ever did. And it was hard because I had to kind of, along with deconstruction, you kind of have to, on the other side of things, reconstruct.
You need something else to take its place. Like the belief that you hold goes from...
Well, I mean, I spent my entire life being told what was right and wrong and how to live according to this lens. And once that lens fell away, I was just like, what do I do now? How do I live?
That's it.
You know, how do I make decisions?
Yeah.
What duvet covers should I choose? What's God's will for me? I don't know. Maybe I can just choose.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a wild journey. Still on that journey.
Yeah.
But I don't think that journey ever really ends.
I was going to say, anybody that says they finished the journey doesn't understand the journey, I reckon. That's my personal
Yeah, I agree.
Different ties.
But yeah, I'm in a really hopeful place about it all now.
Yeah, okay.
It was rough, especially around 2019.
Yeah.
But yeah, happy.
Yeah. So where's the Christo? Because that sounds...
I still approach things from, you know, acknowledging my own cultural biases, and that is I'm coming from that Christian perspective on things.
Right.
And that is just will probably forever be my default.
Right.
And I also still believe that, you know, in the Christ. I believe in Jesus being a manifestation of God, and I do believe in the resurrection, and I see a lot of wisdom in that as a metaphor for everything else in life. Whole death, rebirth, that cycle that we all have to go through in one way or another. But I've got that incarnation of God, Christ lens going on, but like I can see it in so much more now than just my little Christian bubble. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. I want to unpack so much.
I know.
But I'm conscious that I'm getting texts and phone calls, and it has been like...
It has been like an hour, hasn't it?
Hour and a half. As a wrap-up, in the next 5 years, so we talked... a lot of my questions have been focusing on the last 5 years, right? To sort of refamiliarize, because we haven't caught up much. What about the next 5 years? What's something you want to change or see different in your life in the next 5 years, and why?
I would like to see more financial stability taking root in my life. I want to see like, oh, maybe it is possible for me to save up to travel a little bit, or like have a car and stuff like that. And also, I would love to get on top of my health more. Because that's something that's just bothered me forever since I was a child. And if I can invest in myself in that way, I think that's something that's going to have a big impact on my quality of life as I get older and turn to dust slowly before your eyes.
That's it. It's like the foundation of everything else in life is having the health to be able to take any other steps, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Nice.
All right. I will ask you the same question to wrap up.
Yeah. Look, very similar. So my health, like I said, I've been going through a health struggle recently. I won't go into it now, but it's sort of made me go, oh, I'm turning to dust, you know, having that realization that I really need to start taking care of I really should have been taking care of myself a lot better than I have for a lot longer than I have. So I'm making changes there. Financially, same sort of thing, like to not have the same, I think this is going to be, to make the change, it's going to require a bit of additional wealth creation and also slowing down on some expenses and commitments and responsibilities. So again, going back to your earlier thing, like it's not like my life has been add this, add that, like car, house, blah, blah, blah. I want to offload.
So start minimizing.
Minimizing a bit more, yeah. In a lot more sort of meaningful ways, I think. just a general freedom, I think, and that's gonna require health changes because there's a lot that I can't do now just because I'm getting older and physically have not treated myself well, and that's a bad combo. Financially, there's not a lot of loosities that we have, I suppose. So there's not much that we can do that I want to do, and just a general freeing up of life. Like there's a lot of tied down and commitment to like the areas that I'm in terms of like career and the like physical location that we're in. So yeah, the next 5 years I'm going to focus on decoupling like us as a family unit and the life that we've currently got. Not to say I'm walking away from that life, but for it to be an option, not a necessity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a general thing. So that's freedom is the freedom, America.
We're Australian, Tim.
Australia. It doesn't have the same, twang.
Ring,
Yeah. But freedom, Australia. Yeah, no, America sounds stronger. But anyway, yeah, just to have that general freedom, I think is a big focus. Decoupling. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, that was good.
All right, let's go.
Awesome. All right, good stuff.